Good morning. It's Sunday, July 28th. And yesterday, when I prepared this rant, I started very late. Because when I got up first thing yesterday morning, it was 4 o'clock in the morning and I couldn't fall back to sleep. So I went down to the computer and I did some odds and ends and I released yesterday's rant about 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I did something I don't usually do. I went back upstairs and I went back to sleep. And I didn't get up until after 9:30. So my whole day was way behind schedule. And I was determined to make up the schedule. But unfortunately, I did have to do some shopping. And I had to get my phone fixed and released because it was tied up. It was expecting me to be online all the time, but that's not the way it was. So I had to stop by the phone shop to get them to release my phone so it would work normally. Not that I'm a big cell phone fan, but it's a very convenient thing to have working for you. So that's how the day started yesterday. And by the time I got home and got ready to do this rant, it was about the time that I would normally be finished ranting. And so I went off searching for a topic to find, and this is what I found that many more adults are not having children. But when we see something like that, we have to study it. So there is a new study out there that may have an explanation. One of the reasons, apparently, is that many couples are not getting married too young. So when a couple has a woman who's 49 and a husband who is 60, they're not prepared to have children. They're not ready to change their lifestyle to have children. And there are many more adults in those situations who are getting married later in life. And women between the age of 25 and 44 are not having the growth rate that has been prominent in this country in the past. And the birth rates, are not expected to pick up anytime soon. There are many surveys that are showing a growing share of young Americans actually say they are unlikely to have children. Now, when I grew up and I decided to get married, we were going to have children. That was the purpose of getting married. You found somebody that you loved. You were prepared to create a family. That's not the way it is these days. So a new Center survey from Pew Research has looked into these reasons. The survey found that 57% of adults under 50 say they're unlikely ever to have children. And the major reason they're saying that is because they don't want children. Now that is a complete reversal from the time when I grew up. And 31% of those who are older than 50 without kids say it's too late for them to get started, and they never had them. And I'm not so sure that many of these people are not saying that because they really realize they can't afford to have children. It may be very well that they're doing fine as a family of two, both people working, but they're not making enough to have children. And they recognize the fact that it's an expensive proposition to to raise a child properly. So they make up all kinds of excuses to avoid admitting the truth that they don't have great jobs. They can't afford the cost of a house, the cost of rent, the cost of raising children, the cost of educating children. So while these people may make many, many excuses for what they're doing with their lives, I have a big feeling, a large feeling, that a lot of this is just an excuse because they themselves have failed in creating a lifestyle that can afford to have children. Now, I don't blame them for that. Maybe they ignored getting an education, a proper education. Maybe they were unlucky in the jobs they chose to do. So a lot of people in this country have no skill set that is going to generate enough money for them to raise children properly. So I give those people credit for not wanting to bring a child into the world that they cannot properly educate and that they cannot properly take care of, and make it so that that child will be a success in life. It's a very difficult decision for many people to make. Now, in my day, it was much cheaper. You could survive on $100 a week salary very nicely when I was growing up. In fact, when I was making $2 an hour working in the butcher shop part-time, that was more money than my parents were making. So economics has to be a major, major excuse in this childbearing world. And they're not admitting that so fast. And maybe that's because they feel disgraced that they could not put themselves in the proper position to have children. Maybe you start out with grand ideas, but you recognize after a couple of years that you don't have the experience, the professional expertise to make a good living and raise a child in the manner that you would like them to be raised. How about that? So a lot of the things that they're saying about raising children and having children may be an excuse for the fact that they can't afford to have a child. And maybe one child would be enough, but then if they feel that they gotta have a brother or a sister, then the whole picture changes. Think about that. Think about that for a while. The economics of having children. It ain't easy and it ain't cheap. So I leave you with that this morning. Have a great day. Bye.